Hi, it's Miss Sarah from the Education Department at Greater Newark Conservancy, and it's the second day of spring. It's also a few days into our self-quarantine, so we're doing some of our spring planting here at home rather than at the school gardens as we normally would at this time of year. But there's no reason to not celebrate spring with planting some spring veggies. And more than ever, we're talking about how important it is that we have food security. So I'm going to teach a little bit about how I plant spring veggies, and hopefully this will help you be able to try it a little bit at home. And hopefully you'll be able to join us when we get to planting our school gardens later this year. So come on here. I have a container, and I want to talk about container gardening a little bit. So this is a raised bed container. It looks a lot like an earth box, but this one's a little bit different. I'm going to be teaching in another video about how to use an earth box. This over here is a true earth box setup, but this one I'm just using as a container. I just have soil in here. And I was growing a crop last fall that I planted late summer last fall. Let's see if you can figure out what I've got growing here. What is it? Studio audience?
It's a carrot!
Absolutely. So carrots actually are pretty cool because they will often overwinter. That means they survive through the winter because they have this big fat storage unit, the root. They get a little bit tough and woody and not so great to eat, but especially if you're not able to run out to the store, it can make you pretty excited and happy to find some carrots still in your garden come spring. So I'm just making sure that I've got all those carrot roots cleared out of this bed before I plant in it. So you might wonder if I was going to plant carrots in this bed. But usually what we want to do is rotate what we grow in any area. So since I was growing carrots here, I really don't want to plant carrots in this container again because that would make them more susceptible to diseases, insects, other stuff that might kind of stick with that crop. So it looks like I've got everything cleared out here, so I'm ready to plant something new. So what I have here is some spring veggies that are provided by our friendly friends at Cube Pack. They've been through a little bit of rough days on their way here, but I think most of them will bounce back. So these are all cool season veggies, because even though it's the first day or the second day of spring, it's still going to get cold again. So we wouldn't want to be planting something like tomatoes or peppers, because those crops really need consistently warmer days. But stuff like, you guys know what this is? Studio audience?
Lettuce!
Yes, you're right, leaf lettuce. This one's tougher. I'm gonna cover up the name on it. Can you tell what it is?
Is it spinach?
Ah, very good. Yes, so spinach, cool season crop. Okay, now we're getting even tougher.
I'm thinking that Swiss chard.
Ooh, good guess. Really close. Swiss chard is also a cool season veggie, but this one is kale, one of my favorites. And, okay, getting really obscure here.
Arugula.
Oh, such a good guess. Also a cool season crop. This one is actually bok choy. This is making bok choy, and I'm really excited for these because I've been really enjoying the bok choy recently. So these are all cool season crops, and they all have something else in common. Can you guess what it is? Studio audience?
They're all leafy vegetables.
Exactly! The plant part we eat on these is the leaves, and so that means they're easy to grow. We don't have to get them all the way to the point of making a tomato or you know, even a root vegetable like a carrot. These are the easiest things to grow because we're just trying to get them to grow more leaves, and then they'll be ready to eat. So I'm going to lay out this bed. You can see in this bed that it's already really nice, pretty fluffy soil. But the thing about leaf crops is they use a lot of nutrients in the soil. They use nitrogen. So ideally, I would be planting these in a bed that had grown something like peas or beans last, because those crops actually help the soil fix nitrogen. It helps it make nitrogen that's available in the become more available in the soil for the plants to grow. But I don't have a bed that had peas or beans, so I'm going to use this one. But what I'm going to do is add a little bit of an organic dry fertilizer. Okay, so I just wanted to show a little bit about using an organic fertilizer in a raised bed. So a lot of times when I'm planting an in-ground garden, I'm just adding I'm adding compost to the soil to fertilize it. But for raised beds, because you're planting them so intensively and you don't really have as much area to grow in, adding dry organic fertilizer really helps, especially getting new plants established. So this is Plantone. It's just one of many dry organic fertilizers, but it shows you that it has just a little bit of nitrogen, a little bit of potassium, and a little bit. So because this is a raised bed, you can actually plant things pretty close together. And I'm not exactly using the square foot gardening method, but you can imagine if I was going to draw a box here, this is about 1 square foot. And for a square foot like this, I can probably plant, I'm going to plant 4 kale plants in here. Because I'm going to be harvesting them all along. Phosphorus! So it's a very light fertilizer, but it will help the seedlings get established. So the rate that Plantone recommends to add is about a cup per cubic feet of soil in a container. This container is about 3 cubic feet, so I'm going to add about 3 cups of fertilizer to this bag. I'm just going to try and evenly distribute it and then dig it in. And what's nice about using an organic fertilizer like this is it's pretty difficult to burn your plants' roots. As it would be if you were using like a really heavy-duty conventional fertilizer. Yeah. So I was saying that I was going to lay this out in sort of like a square foot method, and I'm going to do 1 square with kale. I'll do 1 square with spinach, and 1 square with lettuce. Okay, so kale. When you're planting it in a square foot method, usually you can put 4 in 1 square foot. If you're really going to grow it into a big kale, you would want to just do 1 per square foot, but these I'll probably harvest when they're still young, so like as baby kale. So you notice when I'm pulling these out of this plug tray, they're already really tightly root bound, meaning that the roots have kind of grown all the way to the edges of it. So you can see I'm kind of loosening them up before I'm getting them in the ground. And I'm actually, what I should be doing is you really want to hold your seedling, either support it from the bottom, or ideally support it from the bottom, and then you can hold onto the leaves. The stem of the plant is actually the most delicate part, so it's really actually better to hold your plant by the leaves. So you can see I'm getting it into that little square that I've created from him down in there. But I don't want to pack down the soil. I want to keep it really nice and loose, so that there's lots of pore space allowing water to get in there and air to get in there, because those roots need both air and water. Okay, got my 4 kale. So spinach also you could grow with 4 square, but I'm gonna harvest these as baby spinach, so I'm gonna do a 9 square here. I might have to employ one of my carrots as a poker, so let's see if I can actually manage this. This is getting a little tricky here. All right, well, I'm just gonna give you the idea here. I'm not gonna make you hang out while I plant all of these, but you can see these ones, the root system is a little less developed. They don't really need to be roughed up quite so much. Okay, so the last thing I want to show though is that as I'm planting these, I am going to label, because I want to remember what I've planted here, even though I can identify them pretty well. And I'm going to label the name of the plant and the day I planted it, which is, today is 3/20. Okay, so I've gotten this container all planted. I have here new red fire lettuce. I have 4 in a square. I have some spinach planted here. I have 9 in the square. And I have kale, prism kale, planted in this square, 4 in a square. This is a pretty intense planting, but I'm going to harvest all these as baby greens. So thanks for tuning in for this little segment that's School Garden in Exile. We'll be hopefully in the next few days showing a few more things about how we're getting things ready for school gardens and giving you ideas of maybe projects that you can do at home. I'm going to be trying to create some growing areas out of things like Home Depot buckets and other kinds of containers. So tune in for those. This is Sarah from Greater Newark Conservancy. Stay safe, stay home, and try and stay healthy.